Oh, hello there everybody, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. This Dad's Platinum Journey, here we are again with another video, and today we're looking at Tekken 7, an absolutely phenomenal battle beat-em-up game. So let's get ourselves ready for the King of Iron Fist tournaments. Whew, well, that's my workout done for today. Let's talk about Tekken 7, shall we? This is the 9th installment in the Tekken series. Really, if you include the Tekken Tag, which of course we include those. They're fantastic games. So, like many of you, you're obviously going to come over at Tekken at different points in the lifespan of its series. But I myself came in at Tekken 4. So, shout out down in the comments if you're coming in the same time as me. Tekken 4 was my jam when I was a kid. I used to play this a lot of the time with my friends, mainly being Hwoarang, like to kind of like use his kicks to kind of finish off my foes. So this game, like many of the Tekkens, was first released in arcades. That's the first time you were going to see this. That was over in 2015. A year later, you would see the Fated Retribution version, which is what you would generally see in the arcades now. That is the version that was then ported over to home consoles. So it was announced in 2016 that it was obviously going to come over to the PlayStation. That's its home. But interesting fact that this game was made with Unreal Engine 4, unlike other previous entries. So that meant they were able to port it over to Xbox One and Windows sort of Mac PC. They'll be able to expand its gamer base, which is a fantastic thing for games to do. And not only that for the home console market, but also to open up the esports market as well. Tekken 7 has become a really, really big player like in that. Of course, it's a beat 'em up. And I actually saw this being showcased over at EGX. Some fantastic players over there, and you know, all over the world. So this game's story, you're going to be following Heihachi Mishima. He's going to be your sort of main, I suppose, protagonist this time around in this story. So he's going to be going after building up his business and his empire again, and coming up against some familiar and sometimes not so familiar foes, mainly in the eye of Kazuya Mishima. That is his son. Mechanics, so some gameplay changes. There's a few things that kind of come into it. There's a few sort of like screw or like hits that now kind of flip your opponents. Little mechanic being added in there. But the main thing was the rage arts. So if you ever find yourself in a tight spot in this game, if you're getting a bit of a beat down, you can unleash rage arts or special moves and attacks, which can help turn the tide back into your favor. And it adds a really great sense of balance like into there. So it's a really nice addition like into it. There's a couple of cool Easter eggs that I want to go through with you. One being some really nice, cool extra characters. One being Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, a bit of Final Fantasy bias, but that's what it is. Other things as well, some really cool costumes. It's well worth looking to see what the costumes are like. And there's one inspired by one of the greatest Japanese wrestlers of all time, Okada. You'll find him over at King's alternating costumes on there. In terms of release, this game did really well. Really, really well. It's currently sold 8 million copies. And in terms of review scores, they're about 7.5 to an 8 or 80%. They're mainly talking about how fun and sort of engaging the game is to play, not only to pick up and just play it as a like simple casual against your mates, but also as an elite sort of side of it in terms of the online capabilities and the esports. There's a lot of depth like to it. You can play it very simply or competitively. It's something for everybody in there. So it's an incredibly well-made game. It's really polished. The graphics are lovely. The sound is awesome. You never get tired of those Tekken hits as they come in there. And I definitely agree with them. This is a perfectly, really, really awesome put together game. Okay. The last thing I'll just mention before we kind of dive into the rest of the trophies here is the fact that this game is seeing a re-release. So it's going to have a definitive version coming out with all the DLC kind of put together on there. All right, so that's a little look at Tekken 7, but let's get on with that trophy list. It's winner take. Right, let's have a little look at our trophy list for that elusive platinum, shall we? We're going to need to get 3 golds, 13 silver, and 26 bronze. That's all we need to do here. We're going to take a little look down the list and kind of outline what we need to go for. First up is going to be our online trophies. We're going to do a whole section on that. We then start to have a little look at treasure battle. We've got a few snippets of treasure battle to go down the list. The first one is here, is just hitting some matches, and then we start sort of hitting the trophies that are related to the story. There's a few related to completing chapters, and there's also going to be some that are related to completing some of the character specials. So once you finish the main game, you'll then be able to unlock some of the character specials on there, and we need to kind of go through some of those. The next section here, we'll have a look at some more practice stuff and also some treasure battles. So there's not too much to worry about here. It's a little grindy, but it's going to be something that you'll just be able to get through natural play and progression as we play on through there. Okay, we're then going to start to have a look at some special battles. So when you do the treasure battle, the arcade battle, you may come up with some special battles. They're going to be against various people, and you need to get Akuma and Kazumia. And we're going to have a couple of victory basics here. We start having a look at some more battle related. So you may get these in any mode. The only time you can't get them is during versus offline. You can get them in story, you can get them in online, you can get them in the treasure battle, arcade battle, anywhere. We start going down the list again here. You've got more of the battle mechanics, but then we start going into a bit more of a grind in terms of promotions. So your first promotions there is getting to first dan. And as we go on to the next part of the list here, it goes all the way down to going promoted to warrior. So it's a bit of a grind. It's probably going to be an even's worth of play on there, but we'll have a look at that in a second and get you through those ranks nice and easy. Okay, the next bit, you've got a few more bits and pieces in terms of you can get these during any kind of play here, but you could get them in practice mode. That's what I tended to do. There's a few bits here involving the rage arts, defeating higher ranks. That gets done in the ranking process. You'll fight people of higher rank. We're going to start coming towards the end of this list now. There's a few more balcony sections in terms of exploration of the actual stages. There's another one here about getting some of the G, the money. Collect it. Don't spend any until you've got the trophies. There's one for 5 and one for 10. And then finally, there's a special chapter at the end of the main story. So that's going to be our first stop on this platinum journey. Let's start with that main story. I would definitely suggest tackling the story first of all, mainly just because you kind of get an introduction to, obviously, the game if you haven't played it before. And plus, it's a nice, simple thing to kind of start collecting those trophies. You can also get some of the more like combat related ones as well. So you might find yourself picking some of those up on your way through. So I'll tell you about the trophies first of all, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the actual story itself. So there's a couple of bronzes for chapter kind of completions. There's one that's called You Think You're Tougher Than Me, which is the epilogue, and also You Challenge Me, which is from chapter 8. You get a silver trophy from completing chapter 1 and also chapter 13. And you get a gold for finishing the epilogue, which is after chapter 14. So that's pretty much all that you need to get done. You're going to be using a variety of different characters as well. So it does give you a sense of good diversity in the character selection, and it changes up a lot of the environments. So it really kind of gives you a broad spectrum of the game. It really gives you a good introduction to some of the play styles, the environments you're going to be fighting in. So you can kind of use those when you're going on to other modes. The story itself is so funny. I should be saying this obviously because it's a fighting game, but you know what? Tekken always takes things lightheartedly, and it's a little anime, and it's a little sort of like cheeky and fun and a bit silly, and I love that about it. It's such a really fun game like to play, and the story mode is always so quirky, and it's really, really awesome. I had such tremendous fun playing it. It doesn't take particularly long. I'd say the campaign probably going to take you a couple of hours, if that. The good thing as well is you can play on any difficulty mode. So if you want to play this a little bit easier, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can set it how you want. Another tip as well is if you are like a more casual player, you can play with assisted combos as well, which is another tip that you can sort of switch on, and it helps you to kind of operate some more fighting styles. So once you've finished it, you'll then go on to what we're looking at now, which is the character select. You get a bronze trophy for completing 3 of them, and then a silver for completing 10. And there are tons of characters that you can choose from. There are loads. So you don't have to do all of them. But I was basically the first thing I wanted to do was like play as Warang. He's been fighting Jin throughout the series, so it was really cool like to go back and kind of check out their little mini story. It's literally cutscene, fight, cutscene, but it was still a really, really cool little experience to kind of delve into some of the other characters, what's going on in this sort of Tekken 7 sort of like playthrough. You kind of see some of the other bits and pieces that are going on. Some of them are just like fun little things. Like Laws was really, really like funny because like Paul gets involved and they're a really fun little team and they just sort of come off and they hug each other at the end. It's all really cool. The last thing that we're going to be having a look here is actually the final sort of secret boss. And for my money, this is the hardest fight in the game. It's Akuma, and it's a special fight that comes up after you've completed the main story. So you really need to kind of get into his attacks here. You definitely need to be learning to dodge and like counter him. I'd be using the double tap up to kind of get out of the way, particularly from his fireballs. I try my best to show you some of that like in this playthrough. But you try and dodge out the way and then counter attack. If you try and attack, he's going to hit you and he's going to kill you. So he's very fast, he's very powerful. So you'll see here, I'm going to start to get him down to his final bit of health. He moves around a lot, but I try and like get out of the way of his attacks here, and I hit him with the counter. He's going to try and attack me here with his sliver of health that he's got, but we managed to kind of sort him out here with a sort of special attack. So this is going to sort him out really. We'll play the end of this cutscene. This took me a few goes to get it, but yeah, it's quite a challenging one because you just need to learn some of his attack patterns. But once you get used to the counters, you'll be in there. And it's a silver trophy called Master of Iron Fist. And let's move on to some more trophies. Right, team. Well done for getting yourself through the story mode there. We're going to move on to some miscellaneous trophies here. What I'm going to do is do an absolute massive rundown of all of these. But what you can do is if there are any that you're missing from your story playthrough, or even go into your online and treasure battle and do those, what you'll end up with possibly is just a few leftover trophies. What I recommend is head over to the practice arena. There you will need to do a trophy which is called No Pain No Gain, which is accumulating 50,000 points. Now I recommend doing this in one sitting. I did a bunch of practice mode before I actually started. I thought I'd get a bit of practice in before I did the story, just to kind of get a feel for the game, kind of get myself back into it a little bit. I did a few trophies there, and then at the end of it, I had a few left over as well. So if there aren't like me, you want to go back into the practice mode and hit up this 50,000. And this is a nice place to mop up any extra trophies that you need to get there. Couple of tips. What I recommend that you do if you need to have a look is go through the move list, have a little look on there and just sort of see if there's any extra ones that you need for maybe like the screw hits or the power crushes or the rage arts or drives or whatever. And if you're looking for the one specifically where you're having to block some of the moves, record the opponent doing the move, and then you can then basically block them. And it's a really simple way of doing it. All right. But let's have a little rundown and we'll check out those miscellaneous trophies. Here we go.
Get ready for the next battle.
Right, so let's take you through these. You're going to see on the screen my trophy pops as we go on here. The first is for achieving a great victory, which is for actually beating your opponent where you have a sliver of health left up on there. The next one is just achieving yourself a nice perfect victory. Actually took me a little longer to get this one than I actually realized. Perfect victory is basically where you take 0 damage in your fight and you kind of hit the victory up on there. We're going to move into kind of hitting on some various sort of hits and moves here. The first one you're going to see is actually for a screw. You need to hit 10 of these. You can have a look in the move list if you're not too sure what your character actually does. But have a look at what moves execute that and then do that 10 times over. This one is the homing attack. Again, 10 of these will get you the trophy. Again, learn what moves these do. This one is just a nice That was the stomp, I believe, is the actual home attack that you got on there. It actually hits down onto the opponent. Okay, the next one is for power crushes. These are devastating hits that are going to really kind of work into the position. So you actually execute, again, just 10 of these, and you'll get the trophy up on there. The next is for a couple of combinations. The first one you're going to see here is for a 70 plus hit combination, which is up into the air. So I've just hit the combination and actually got the trophy to pop on that version there. This next one is for a 10 hitter. So if you're not too sure on the 10 hit combos, they can be quite complicated. I recommend Law. It's probably the easiest one to do if you're not too sure what they are. Pop them up onto practice mode so you can see what it is, and then just execute the button prompts on there. Okay, this next one, we're now going to look at some of the rage stuff. So there's a few trophies related to rage. First of all is just executing 1,000 damage cumulatively over your playthrough using rage. So once you get low enough on health, just attack your opponent and you'll eventually get this trophy. This next one is for rage drives. So they're just for 10 of these. And if you look on your list, when you get into rage, you have access to a couple of special moves. So have a look at those and make sure you know what the button prompts are for that. Get into rage and execute 10 drives. Now, these are the rage arts. If you want a simple button prompt for this one, you can execute the sort of tab that gives you extra sort of easy like combinations. If you press the R1 button, it gives you the rage art. Very, very simple. So once you've hit 20 of them, you're going to get the trophy. This one is for actually getting the rage art for a great victory. So which you have a sliver of health left on there, hit the rage art, and you'll actually get these from doing 5 great victories. This one, I talked about it a little bit earlier, and it's basically blocking the rage art. And I use the same tactic. I've already sort of done the recording with Heihachi. He's hitting his rage art, and I'm just holding block. Really simple to get on there. So now we're going to move on to some of the breaking mechanics on here. So the first one's a floor break. So once you've hit various moves on there, the floor will eventually break and you'll be able to go through. Practice mode's great for this sort of stuff if you need to. The next one is a balcony break. Same sort of thing here. Once you smack them against the balcony, eventually it's going to snap and it's going to break, and then you'll fall down and you'll go through there. The last couple are quite specific ones. The first one's in Forgotten Realm. There's a few floors. Once you hit the bottom, again, that's going to be like the trophy pop up onto there. The last one that we're going to see is on Jungle Outpost. There's a balcony break and a wall break that's on here. So once you've hit both of those, that's where you're going to get the last trophy pop on there. All right. So let's actually move on to some online trophies next. Right, so welcome now to the online battle arena. This is where things are going to seriously pick up for you, because this is where the real players play. So you're going to find yourself some absolute challenges here. Now, fortunate for us as trophy hunters, the online trophies are fairly forgiving and shouldn't take too long to get. There is one that posed a little bit more difficulty for me. All you got to do in this online section is basically play 10 matches. You don't have to win them, you just have to play them. You do have to win, however, 1 player match, 1 ranked match, and 1 tournament match. The tournament's the one that gets a little bit tricky, because I found that the players there were a lot stronger than they were in the other type of ranked matches. The other problem as well is it takes a while to set up, because it has to find the players, match you all up, then get you into a fight. And this can take, you know, anywhere from a few minutes to I think for me, for like 10-15 minutes, I was just waiting, and it was chucking me in and out of different servers and trying to load up different tournaments. It took a while, and then I lost. So it takes a little while, but fortunately you should be able to tackle these trophies fairly quickly. Okay, we're on to the final part here, which is the treasure battle. So what we need to essentially do here is a little bit of a grind. It's not massively long, but it's just will be repetitively winning matches as you go through this section. The first bit is getting to first Dan. Then you need to get yourself over to initiate as you win more matches. Then you'll be upgrading yourself up to Brawler. And then finally, you'll be able to work your way all the way up to Warrior. So you're going to need to be winning consistently because you can downgrade if you do lose matches. So make sure you're winning consistently as you play this game. Now, what you'll be getting on your road to that warrior status is you'll be getting yourself some treasure. Because once you've opened up some boxes, the first trophy will pop once you've opened up 20. And then the second box is going to open up once you've unlocked 50 boxes on there for you. The other thing that you're going to be getting along your journey as well, not necessarily within the treasure battle, you're going to get sort of G as you play the game. So the first one is going to be on the treasure battle here. The first trophy will pop once you get 5 million. And then the second trophy will pop once you achieve 10 million. Okay, I do recommend not spending any until you have gotten both of these trophies. Then start spending up your G as you do so see fit. This next one is just to kind of let you know about some of the wins that you need to get on here. So there's one here which is for 20 wins against a higher rank. Now this will just happen naturally as you progress. You'll naturally get some higher wins on there. This next one is for 3 consecutive. So again, same sort of thing here. Just make sure you're winning consecutively and consistently, and you're going to get these trophies with no real problem whatsoever. Okay. So the last part is a little bit more challenging. These are special matches. They spawn randomly, so they can pose a bit of a problem. And I remember grinding for ages just trying to get these matches to pop up. They can be against various people, but I think they're sort of Kazumi, Akuma, Heihachi, and Kazuya. I think Jin may be one as well. They're very tough to do. The other thing as well, lastly, just before we kind of break out, is you're going to find a special match against Kazumi. You need to beat her. And lastly, Akuma. You're going to find, hopefully, I mean, I actually got this in arcade. You do it in arcade or in treasure battle. You'll get those on there. And once you've done that, that's the Platinum Trophy team. Congratulations. This is a fantastic game. I really can't stress that enough. This is so much fun to play. And if you like beat-em-ups, this is a staple for any household. And if you're not really that much into beat-em-ups, this is a really cool game to play. Just as a laugh with your mates, if that's what you're into. So just to kind of give you a slight more rundown as to what my journey looked like, I actually did a slightly different playthrough to what I went on to. Just because of what I sort of recommend. But I actually delved into the online mode before I hit story. Just in case I wasn't able to do it, because I didn't have PlayStation Plus at the time. So really I wanted to just go in there and just make sure that I could actually tackle those. And B, I might not be that good enough to get the trophies in there, because it does actually require you to win some matches in online mode. Not many, but I wanted to make sure that I could do those before I then sort of started tackling anything else. So if you want to do that, by all means, but to be honest, the online stuff is really forgiving, and you can do it even if you don't have the PlayStation Plus. So if you haven't got that, don't worry about the restriction. You're all good to go on there and play along with it. So this game in itself, let's have a little review. Let's take apart the game itself here. This is an amazing experience, as I've talked about before. I'm a fan of the series. I haven't actually played too many of the more recent Tekkens. I played more of the PS1, 2 era, and then kind of delved out a little bit. So I've come back to this one, and this is just such a lovely blast back of nostalgia. I really think this game knows what it is, and it really kind of hones in on that spectacularly, and it really honors the past and brings it to a modern day audience. And I think this game really embodies that. The visuals are stylized, like they feel a little retro in how they look, but they've been obviously massively upscaled to that point of lovely backgrounds and lots of things going on screen, to arenas that kind of delve into different areas with character models that have amazing detail on them. Really well polished game here. Sound is excellent. Like the hits, the cracks, the thuds, the thumps, they all sound so impactful when you do them. It's just, all the time. Really great stuff. The music is thumping. It's not the kind of music that you kind of resonates with you. It almost sort of sits as white noise, but it kind of adds to the atmosphere. and it kind of brings you into it, and it makes it feel so immersive when you're playing. It's amazing. You know, the story is not long. You're looking at about 2 hours of completion time, but you know what, like, I really got into it, particularly towards the end. I won't obviously delve into any spoilers, but the story kind of like gives you a really sort of satisfying conclusion as well, and it obviously has the whole like question at the end of it. It's really goofy and fun and silly. I know I spoke about this earlier, but you know what, it's so enjoyable to play. It's such a fun experience. I do recommend, like, you know, if you are a bit of a Tekken fan, go through the story mode if you haven't already. It's really, really nice to get through there. So overall, this game, as a piece of a video game media, this is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. This is a really, really well made game, really well polished, nicely put together. If you're going to be just picking up and play it with your mates, you want to have a bit of a friends night in and have a bit of a bash, that is top 10 like games that you should be playing easily. There's really great accessibility options for people that haven't played it before or just not very good at beat 'em ups. There's a really great versions for that, all the way up to like experienced elite players that want to play against the very best. You have that availability to go on there and do that. So it has a really broad range and spectrum of gameplay that you can get out of it, and that's really what this game's about. Gameplay. Gameplay is just, it's, you know, it's a 9 to 10 out of 10 experience of like how the game like plays in terms of beat 'em up. Really, really great stuff. Really super enjoyed it. The platinum, let's move on to that, because the platinum I find was a very nice put together platinum. What the platinum does is it kind of introduces you to the different modes of the game. You know, it gets you into the story mode, the treasure battle to kind of get and unlock all the customizable items that you can get. It wants you to go into a bit of an arcade mode, play character battles, play an online mode, go into the practice mode, do this, do this, do this. But it doesn't really do it to a degree of like, you have to do loads of it. There's more beyond it, but the trophies kind of take you through and go, okay, well, here's the thing. You get up to this level, cool. You can decide to carry on or you can stop. You know, so it kind of wants you to kind of go through and have a go at everything, which I think is, for a beat 'em up, I think is the best way of doing like a trophy list. It probably could go a little bit further in terms of some of the challenges. This trophy doesn't take very long time-wise. It's under 10 hours. I think my clock time was about 8 in total. You know, 2 for the story. Online was, you know, like an hour or so. Treasure battle was maybe like 2.5 to 3. And then practice was probably like another sort of another hour or so, just kind of mopping up a few of the bits and pieces towards the end. So it was around that sort of time frame that you're looking at to kind of complete everything. So it wasn't really too bad at all. If I was to look at potentially like my favorite trophy, I'm looking at the special battles. They were the lovely little bits of challenge in there that kind of just made you go, oh, okay, here comes something I need to focus on and really kind of get into. Because when they came up and you needed to win them, they got you into that fight, because they are tough fights. And I really enjoyed them. You've got special battles with Akuma and Kazumi as well. And you obviously had to win 3 overall. So it was a really great experience to kind of get that. And for me, that was the best trophy to kind of get to. It really kind of made me get excited with what was happening. They were great battles. I would say the toughest trophy is probably the practice battle. It's not hard. It's just you're in practice battle and you're just smacking an opponent around for maybe an hour trying to get the trophy to pop. So if you've got stuff left over, definitely go in there, because that trophy can be a grind. If it's the only thing you've got left to do, you're just going to sit there for like an hour just smacking a bot around for an hour until the trophy decides to pop. Because I believe it's sort of slightly glitched out for me. Either it didn't tally any of my earlier practice mode stuff, or it just doesn't do it anyway. You have to do it in one sitting. It took me a while to kind of get it to pop up there. So it does bode well for that. So I'd definitely say that probably one of the more tougher ones. you know, the special chapter, like at the end of the story with Akuma, when you got to be Devil Kazuya. That's a hard fight, really tough fight. But again, it was a good challenge. It wasn't like a really grindy trophy that was just like a little bit, you know. It was really fun to kind of go into that fight and just get a few goes, get a few tries, and you'll be able to do it no problem. So that was that. Yeah, so that was the platinum, and that was the journey to it. An amazing and fun and quick experience overall. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you love this kind of stuff and you love this kind of content. This is the place to be, you know. Get yourself on there. I've got other platinum journeys up on the channel. You can have a look at, you know, Resident Evil 3, Marvel's Avengers, God of War is on there, Final Fantasy VII, the original game, that's already up there. So I am starting to get a bit of a collection up. I will be working on, I'm just on my last bit of Mafia, the definitive edition at the moment. So that's probably going to be my next video, I think. We'll see. That's probably going to be my next one. That or Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. This could be my next one. One of those two. But they are going to be coming in January. I've got another video up, which is going to be a retrospective of 2021. Looking at my games that I've been playing this year and platinum this year. It's been 20 overall. I've had a fantastic time playing games this year. It's been absolutely incredible. And I'm going to share out some of my favorites and some of my worst, most challenging platinums that I've had the pleasure of going through. I've obviously asked Twitter what theirs are, so this could be getting some of the audience as well, sharing their platinum journeys as well. If you want to go over and look me up onto Twitter, you can follow me at this platinum. You can go over there and you can check out some of my gaming stuff on there as well. Thank you so much for coming on and coming with me on this platinum journey through Tekken. Like I said before, my final thought is this is just fun. Pure fun and bliss enjoyment. Some silliness in Tekken. And I bid you all a farewell, team. Thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays. See you in 2022.